Hello everyone who likes to dig back through your canoe pile and just check on your old canoes. I'm BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths. I think I just deleted my notes out of my notepad. Where the hell did it go? This is the video that no one asked for, but by gum you're getting it anyway because I felt like it. So, I was mucking around, building stuff in From the Depths. Not the thing I should have been building, not preparing for Godly Neater or anything like that. Nope, I was just making a canoe for fun. This is not that canoe, we'll get to that. So, and I discovered something interesting. Well, it's not discovered, more confirmed, something that I already kind of knew about, and that is, when you build your craft, you've got to be actually hyper-aware about where you put certain things on your craft. As in, where the block clusters are. So, the reason we're not looking at the canoe I'm making just now, the reason we're looking at this fella, which is just called Quad Cannon, this was a staple part of my fleet back in the day when I played through Neater, and I think beat it for the first time, just on regular difficulty. My wood canoe Neater playthrough, which is probably the most BorderWise playthrough of From the Depths I've ever done, and I've tried to vary it up since then, but deep in my heart, I'm a canoe monitor type of guy. Now, looking over this thing, I understand now why back then, a lot of things I kind of did, well, right. For one thing, this thing has a honking big turret on it. 500mm guns, big. I forget what it fires, actually. It fires interesting things. What does this fire? Alright, so we've got Shape Charge, Squash Head. Alright, so Shape Heat Frag, Squash EMP, which is a fun shell, and Smoke Munition Defense, HE Body, HE Head. Okay, I like that. That makes sense for this. And Frag and Flak. Oh, and a timed Frag Flak Head. Right. This was just a general purpose doing things boat. So, the other thing I did right with this is, like, it is, it's got sensible rather than excessive armor. There's 3 layers out here. There's a nice big air gap. That's important. Like, empty space is actually a great armor scheme. Then you've got, what is it? A double layer of Citadel armor deep in here. And ammo stored over there. And it does block cluster placement generally kind of well, except for one big problem. A lot of the block clusters, you will notice, are clustered right on center of mass, and so that is the first point. The center of mass is the bit, as you see this thing move around, but let's just, let's have you just, go on a patrol path right there. Actually, let's zoom out here and do this. Let's do this. So, as you follow along here, you will notice that it is the front and rear extremities of the craft that move around the most. And the center of mass moves relatively little, so that's just basic physics. If you have a long thing that is turning on the spot, the outer bits necessarily have to turn faster, and the middle bit doesn't move as much. So, what this means is that generally, remember, guideline, not rule, because it also depends on many different things in this very complicated game. Your center of mass is the thing that gets hit most reliably, because A, it's generally the chunkiest part of the thing, it's right in the middle, and B, it moves the least. So, this theory here is that you actually should put your most important bits, like your weaponry for instance, away from your center of mass. So that's the big weakness of any kind of design like this, which is why you don't actually see that very often in, like, most designs, because most people find out the hard way. If you put, like, your weaponry right in the middle of your craft, that's the bit most likely to get just a random, cram shell. And also bear in mind that suicide vehicles, I will in fact spawn in a few suicide vehicles, they go by default for center of mass. So if we do this, we spawn in some ICBMs. Let's see if our friend here... Oh, wow, I never actually tweaked the torpedoes on this fella. Help, what happened? Alright, so if we see here... I'm actually going to slow down time a little bit. You'll see that the thing goes right for the middle. Right for the center of mass, that is where the nukes are going. Why did that thing explode too early? That was weird. let's spawn in a few more nukes just so you can see that. It's actually a pretty good way to illustrate the whole center of mass thing. So this is not good, because that's our main weapon on this little guy. And he's actually kind of little, like roughly 5,000 blocks, only about 150 meters long. We can do better than this. I have experimented in the past with various things. Thank goodness for time frag. And that is our problem there. Oh yeah, I remember, that guy doesn't even have ejectors. That is an issue. Right. We don't like that, right? We don't like putting our most important bits right in the center of mass. That is silly. So now, I'm going to spawn in the thing I was actually playing around with, and this is just, I don't know if this guy is ever actually going to be used in a campaign or anything. This was just for fun and for giggles, and I thought, I have an urge to make a laser hydrofoil, like Lightning Hood style. And then I kept mucking around with it, and I thought to myself, the laser on this is actually surviving pretty well. This is actually partially based on an adventure mode vehicle I made when I tried adventure mode off camera at one point. Yes, I will get around to that eventually, no worries. And yeah, so my theory with this thing was actually kind of well proven. So I was just testing this against like basic stuff. So what can we do here? Should we throw an easy Great Talon thing? They all have smoke, annoyingly, so this probably isn't going to work well. But hopefully we'll get to see what exactly this thing does here. So, the laser's on the rear. So basically, leading on from the whole putting your most important bits away from your center of mass, for a broadsider, it means probably the most sensible place to put your weaponry in particular is on the rear. The reason for that, it's on a part of the craft which moves around a lot and thus is somewhat harder to hit, and the reason you wouldn't want to put it on the front is because this is the part that tends to crash into things. So I was wondering about that. It's like, maybe I should not do that. And you can see there, a lot of those missiles, they're not going for like where the laser is. They're kind of going for roughly center of mass. So if you look at where the damage is landing, it's mostly around here, kind of going for center of mass, because missiles tend to kind of do that by default. Not always. But that tends to be where it is. By the way, this thing has a lot of things stuffed around its center of mass, including say AI, so it's not a perfect example. We're actually winning, and that's really cool. Locos is falling off right there. So yeah, this thing is working quite well, and I think part of the reason that this is actually a winning design idea, I don't think I'll be taking this fella into the campaign, because armor is kind of bad. This is very glass cannon-y. It is literally stone beams, alloy poles, and just an extra layer of stone just there, so very, very glass cannon-y, but that's kind of showing off the fact that, like, yeah, it is actually holding its own just fine. Just make the armor thicker, make a bigger version of this, and you're getting somewhere. Sometimes mucking about is fun. Also, it helps if you, like, distribute your block clusters. So, one particular thing here is that if you're going to put your block clusters in the middle, this weapon is all the way over here. You can kind of see that, like, there's very little block clusters on the back, so it's not even aiming for where the laser is, which means the laser systems themselves get taken out before the laser combiner does, which is very, very handy. Now, for a broadsider, like where you'd put the actual weaponry is actually slightly off to the side, so I'm going to spawn in our friend the Pyre and just let this guy get annihilated, because the Pyre actually kind of demonstrates this a little bit. Not flawlessly, because it's a big thing, but you will notice that right down the middle tends to be, it's just structural blocks, so to speak, and if you zoom in on here, what you mostly see right down the center line of the Pyre, this is one of the genius parts of the Pyre's design, mostly what you're seeing is heavy armor wedges with the occasional big chunky custom jet. So things like the guns, and even APS is quite block heavy, not nearly as bad as Cram, but that's kind of where it is. But exactly down the center line, the block clusters generally aren't along it. So we've got custom props over here. They are not exactly on the center of mass, they're just slightly off to the side of it. Same with the steering props back here, they're just off to the side. And also, with these little CWIS turrets, they are just off to the side. And in fact, there is a heat decoy somewhere up here. I'm not sure where exactly it is, but it's over here. It is well off center of mass. It is, I think, is that it? No, it isn't. There's a heat decoy which lives around here, which is like well away from center of mass. I'm not sure where center of mass even is here. I think it's like roughly here, so to speak. And there's another, and there's more heat decoys down here, which are on center of mass, but like lined up way down below. So this is actually an example of that kind of block cluster thinking. I'm not sure who made this. HWBoy3, not sure if that's their Discord handle, but that is an example of good block clustering. Is like you put the block clusters not on the center of mass, you just put them off a little bit. And our little laser canoe here is having a really, really bad day because it is absolutely not geared to fight something like the Pyre. So let's do it a favor. And the way your craft moves basically dictates like how exactly where you put your block clusters and where you put actually your important bits so they don't get hit. So yeah, that is basically the gist of this video. It's the theory of block clustering. Honestly, how do I do a visual aid here? Well, firstly, I turn this off so it doesn't fly off into space. This thing doesn't actually have pitch control because I was literally just mucking around with it. So maybe I should add pitch control. So you can imagine if this was a front-sider, what would actually be kind of a fun idea is to make this a twin-hulled thing. So you got one of these, and then another one just like that. You don't really see many twin-hulled front-sidey things. I think the Kobold is almost like that. Actually, hold on. Let's actually see here if the Kobold follows this. Because I think if you go and look through various craft, you'll see some of them follow this, others don't. Wow. That thing has eyeballs? I never realized. What fleet colors am I even on? Deacon's Christmas. Let's just go regular BW black and white. And if we go here, what's straight down the middle? No, it does kind of do. Kind of. Sort of. Not really. Let's see what is happening here. There's slightly more clustering off to the sides, but straight down the middle there's still some clustering, and then you've got this big-ass steam engine, which is not very clustery because, like, these steam parts are quite big. Where's the center of mass? Let's see, what's here? What is right here is heavy armor beams, and big jet combustors, which are nice big blocks. Wow, I never realized this. The Kobold really just does have just one kind of strafe. Oh, Frostbite made this damn thing. How rude. Frostbite makes rude things. He's retrofitted the damn everything. That's a lot of GPP anyway. Alright, so basically you got here. Also, yeah, we've got a real cluster of like AI blocks like back here on the rear. Which again, that is like, it does kind of fit this principle actually. Because the center of mass, where is it? It's kind of over here. There's not blocks directly. That's not really clustered. This thing's just forward of it, of course, which is a lot of APS components. But then the real block cluster is back here with all these II bits and all these small custom jets over here and all this. No, this kind of fits. This kind of fits the theory. Right, what's the other horrible thing that we can think about? Probably not the Laniakea. Let's have a look at one more. What's a scary craft that doesn't use cheesy sub-object shields and all that kind of stuff? Let's go... What is it? Let's check the Hypernova. Let's see, what does it do? Hypernova does weird things. It uses, like, sabot explosive and all that kind of stuff. And that's what it looks like, BW black and white. So, structural blocks, generally... Aha! Look at this. Most of the front is just 4-meter beams. Okay then, and as for center of mass, you can see most block clustery stuff. So if I do this, and we just have a rough eyeballing it, yep, that's mostly 4-meter bits, which generally makes nice even block cluster, but most of the block cluster is actually behind the center of mass, which wiggles around a lot. Like, yeah, all the blocks are clustered back here, which makes sense because it's a front-sider. And right down the middle, is it's mostly just these 3-meter wide custom jets, which are less block clustery because they are bigger. And then you've got a whole bunch of heartstones back here, which is kind of block clustery. So yeah, I think my theory has some kind of merit. So yeah, that's all this video is. It's a theory. It is a theory about a game, not a game theory that's copyrighted. We don't do that around here. Let's just load in our actual friend here. Where did I put him? Where did I put him? It is quite fun to watch this thing. What shall we shoot at? Let's go shoot at some flying squirrels, just to see if we can. I haven't actually tested this guy against flying squirrels that much. And flying squirrels are like, I don't know. We might die. We might die horribly. Although the squirrels will also die. So that's nice. So yeah, that does it for like this block cluster discussion. Is like cluster endpoint spoofing is probably... Damn, they died quickly. Let's fight a ransack and see how well that goes. I think the ransack might kill us. But anyway, so block cluster endpoint spoofing is kind of a separate thing from this. That is when you deliberately put just a whole bunch of like small blocks on like various bits, like up on the superstructure or on the rear of your craft. Specifically, we are on fire. Good thing we're mostly made of stone. But yeah, so that's when you deliberately place clusters of blocks in order to fool the AI, which is a little bit cheesy, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, if this game is horrible RNG, you might as well take advantage. Let me know in the comments if you consider a cluster block aim spoofing to be cheese, because that's worth a whole cheese in itself. But for now, just remember, don't put your stuff right where it's most likely to get it. That ransack is actually getting annihilated. Wow. Look at you. That is the advantage of big laser. Big laser, no armor, and just good spoofing, I guess. Spoofy. Alright. On that note, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to you can make these videos if you want, be my guest, but if you want to see more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Like at the lowest tier, access to a Patreon-exclusive Discord. We can hang out with me and other cool people, and we can talk about putting lasers on our butts, of our ships, specifically. And at the highest tier, I will build or draw stuff for you, because, by the way, I can draw. I do an art stream once a week, and 2 From the Depth streams, and a neither of those video game stream. It's a great time, and you should go check those out. And my other channel, BorderRR, which just pronounced Border. It's great fun over there too, so check out the links in the description and probably pinned in the comments unless I've forgotten. Love to see you there. Have a good one. Happy block clustering. Farewell. I can't help but notice that the center of mass is where all the shells are landing. BorderWise is border right for once.